words out loud every day just for you. It's the Daily Solutions. The Daily Solutions Podcast. Okay, hey everybody.
Hey there. I get these intros stuck in my head now. It's really, it's really silly. If you also get intros stuck in your head, go to floattanksolutions.com.
This is not the end of the episode.
Stuck in my head.
This is my name's Ashkahn. This is what we're supposed to say
This
now.
is the beginning?
Yeah.
We're not done already?
Yeah.
Graham. I'm Graham over here.
All right, great. We got that done.
And today's question is, how do you handle a situation where the customer is 100% wrong? There's more here. If not outright lying about something. For example, they come in for an appointment that they did not schedule, or they schedule one day but come in another but blame you for the error. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's awkward, and I'm getting more and more bothered by being blamed for user error/idiocy. At what point can I tell them to kick rocks? I know we shouldn't, but I really want to. Pull me back from the ledge. Thanks, fellas.
All right, this is a good question. I say go for it, man. I mean, like, throw a swing.
Tell him to quick rock.
Yeah,
kick
like
rocks.
yeah, it's your business, you know. You just.
Yeah, we usually our stance is we usually kind of kill people with kindness when they start demanding too many things.
Like you never really. I mean, there's always a chance they're not lying, right? I mean, you can't be like 100%. It's just a very bold. That's a very bold claim that they're 100% wrong.
Yeah, I've slowly realized that throughout my life. I don't say I'm 100% right about things anymore.
After that incident. So I mean, just keep that in mind a little bit. Like, there are times where it really seems like someone's wrong, and then like 2 days later, you're like, oh yeah, no, I messed that up. Like that was my fault. But you know, but that's not to say that people don't totally just like lie and say that they convinced they booked another day because they're just trying to get out of your having to pay a cancellation fee or whatever it is. So I think there's a couple things going for you here. One, you're a small business.
Yeah.
You're not Walmart. You know, you're not some giant corporation where people are constantly trying to like game your system and pull one over on you. And I think that works to our advantage in situations like this. Mostly because stuff like this I think doesn't happen super often as the result of that. But also because like I think it just makes people feel guilty when they get away with things like that. That I kind of doubt someone would be like a super repeat offender if this were to come up. Like if you were to like, you know, I just don't imagine you'd be like setting precedent if you were to be nice to someone even if they were lying and like, you know, not call them out on it or do whatever. I don't imagine they'd come back like every day from then on and keep trying to like screw you over. Yeah,
this place doesn't care if you lie to them.
Yeah, I found this great loophole.
Come on, guys.
So we have that going for us too, where I think bigger companies have a little bit of a trickier time. Like, you know, if there is a clear loophole in their systems, then people start exploiting it.
There also, you know, we've noticed this with some people who have more chronic disorders, but we also, you know, people find a lot of respite for very serious things in float tanks, and sometimes that involves medication that makes you a little loopier than normal. Sometimes it's just that their energy levels are really low. But, you know, user error happens, and perhaps even more so when someone's struggling with, again, a disorder that they have or with medications they're taking or something like that. And this comes in many ways. You know, it can be sensitivity to temperature. It can be sensitivity to noise. We've kind of just found that people who are experiencing the most pain in their daily lives, and often some of our customers, are also some of the most demanding and the hardest for us to deal with personally.
And, like, at the end of the day, what are they scamming you out of? They're, like, scamming you to try to get into a float tank more. You know, it's not like this is some sort of money scheme they figured out and you're like, they're making $100 off of you or something like that. They're just trying to float. Like, and then they're all doing whatever they're doing so that they can float more. And it probably means like they probably really need to float really bad if they're going to these lengths of lying and making stories up or doing whatever they need to do to try to get into the float tank. So I think there's a certain perspective where I think you can try to find some sympathy in thinking about it like that, and maybe that can kind of back you off the cliff and make you not want to punch these people.
Yeah. And there does come a point too where firing your customers or just saying, hey, it might be better if you find somewhere else to float is totally an option. It's probably different for different people, but especially if you're the only one behind that front desk and you're in here day in and day out, making sure you can maintain your sanity and maintain calm is probably not the worst idea. So if you really do have a problem client who keeps coming back and week after week it's causing you issues and grief, then you should also feel like you don't need to hold on to every single customer. And it might be that some people actually just have a better experience elsewhere, and communicating that is likewise totally fine.
Yeah, I think if this is a serious problem you're having with one person, then that's the point where you can be like, all right, you need to. I'm sorry, you just can't come here anymore.
Yeah.
But if you're asking more generally, hey, if someone misses their appointment every once in a while, someone makes up some excuse that totally sounds like a lie, I usually lean on just kind of, being cool about it and not trying to bring down the fist of justice on them or anything.
Yeah, we sort of have an unstated publicly 3-strike policy, and even then we don't enforce it super strongly. So what we tell people is that we have a cancellation policy. And then if they, it's 24 hours, you should cancel in advance of your appointment. But if they miss their appointment and then call in later or something, just say, hey, I totally realized I missed my appointment. We'll be like, okay, well, just this once, we'll let it slide, and we don't tell them that also the second time we'll probably let it slide, and maybe even the third time, but from the outside it doesn't look like we're going to be lenient at all, and it kind of gives us these 3 extra steps where we're like, okay, well, you messed up once, but all right, well, the second time, though, just don't do it. Third time, all right, we're charging your credit card for half of your appointment or something like that, right? So it's a definitely gradual lead-ins, and expressing your own desires, I think, also goes a long way, as opposed to just immediately hopping to kind of a strict penalty for someone coming in.
And it's good. It's an important reminder to not punish everybody because a few people are kind of abusing your system. You can still be cool to everyone by default and only deal with issues with individual people as they come up, rather than kind of adopting a strict policy for everybody.
Just because Ashkahn takes 5 bags of popcorn from the hardware store popcorn machine when we go in there doesn't mean they should stop having popcorn for all of their other guests.
They should definitely not stop having popcorn.
Great, good.
I guess, also physically hurting your customers is probably going to get you into trouble. So you probably don't want to resort to that physical violence, I feel like that should be stated.
Yep, and even telling them to kick rocks, from a pure legal perspective, if they go kick a rock that's too big and stub their toe, you can be liable for that. So
it's a professional advice told me I should go kick a rock. And that's good. I feel like that answered that.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, so if you guys have other questions, you can go to floatanksolutions.com/podcast.
And if you don't like what you find there, go kick some rocks or something.
Yeah, that's right. You don't come to us to complain about it.
Bye, everyone.